There he is again, Hasan is stream.
Speaking of this judge, let's take a look at. Remember, everyone's favorite fucking Jeffrey Epstein lawyer. Because from what I understand, people are saying like this guy is like linked to Jeffrey Epstein and stuff. I don't know. I haven't like done a deep dive into the fucking judge's background, but he's like a piece of shit fucking conservative judge who gives a fuck that he like signed off on this warrant. Obviously, of course, he's going to sign off on the warrant, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he was also a dickhead on top of that. But you know, well, we do know someone who is a dickhead who was like friends with Jeffrey Jebediah Epstein, who defended him successfully, as a matter of fact. So let's take a look at the Dersh. The number one Fox News, like he's on Fox News' broadcast every fucking night, okay? Literally every night this man is on Fox News, and he's defended Jeffrey Epstein. So it's kind of weird that people always brush that under the rug.
Stop picking on the judge. The magistrate judge, they always approve search warrants. I'm sure the words were correct. Don't blame him. There's been in the media a lot of anti-Semitic attacks on him, a lot of McCarthyite attacks on him, blaming him for being one of the lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein's secretary. Want to blame people? Blame me. I was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. If you...
Dude, stop! Dude, what is he doing? What? Okay, now I don't like the other judge. Now that Jeffrey Epstein, now that the Dersh has spoken, oh my God, I love the Dersh so much. This man is the gift that keeps on giving, okay? This man is the gift that keeps on giving. Wait a minute. What did he say? What do you mean? What did he say? This is, guys. The Dersh was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. For those of you who don't know, the Dersh, who has tenure at Harvard, by the way, was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, and also friend. Like, got massages with Jeffrey Epstein. He kept his pants on. He kept his underpants on at all times. Okay? Alan, there's a constitutional defense for, 16-year-old girls to be able to consent, Dershowitz. Constitutionally speaking. For no reason whatsoever. Remember when he dropped that dime for no reason whatsoever? Remember when he just like randomly blasted that off? Literally unprompted. For all of us to consume and enjoy. Everything I've said about him is 100% things that he said, by the way. One of his main defenses always was, well, I might have gotten massages, but I always had my underpants on. That was one. And then the other thing was he randomly just decided to write a Twitter thread about the constitutional defense for minor women to be able to consent to sex.
McCarthyite attacks.
And it's wild because like he's still on Fox News like all the time.
Attacks on him, blaming him for being one of the lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein's secretary. Want to blame people? Blame me. I was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. If you trust me to do justice, don't attack the judge.
Minor women, minor girls, whatever. Shut up.
Stop picking on the judge. The magistrate judge, they always approve search warrants. I'm sure the words were correct. Don't blame him. There's been in the media a lot of anti-Semitic attacks on him, a lot of McCarthyite attacks on him, blaming him for being one of the lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein's secretary. Want to blame people? Blame me. I was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer.
Oh, God, so good. Okay. Oh, here's the Dersh consent thread, which was completely unprompted, by the way. Of course, I follow him. One of my favorite follows, by the way. I stand by the constitutional, not moral argument I offered in my controversial op-ed. If a 16-year-old has the constitutional right to have an abortion without state or parental interference, how could she not have the constitutional right to engage in consensual sex? When you are a debate lord, you inevitably have to When you become a debate lord, when you become a debate pervert, and by the way, lawyers are one of the highest stages of debate pervertry. Judges are the highest. Supreme Court justices are the highest stage of debate pervertry. Obviously. Okay? Okay? When you get to this level, if you're if you are a professor of the law, you are really high up there in debate pervertry, right? You are really, really high up there in debate pervertry. And anyone who is a debate pervert has to, at a certain point, talk about age of consent, the arbitrary nature of age of consent. That's just, you have to. That's how it works. Oh, by the way, Fox News host Brian Kilmeade was called out for showing photoshopped image of judge in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Apparently, where was it? Sean Hannity, that was like a follow-up. Even Sean Hannity pointed out that the image was clearly faked as they transitioned to his show, but Kilmeade pushed back a bit. Sean, can you relate to that? Kilmeade asked. I think that's actually a picture of Jeffrey Epstein with somebody put his head on there, Hannity replied. I'm guessing, I don't know. It might be his plane. Kilmeade responded, who knows? What do you mean, who knows? You should know, you dumb motherfucker. It's your show. He tried to defend it? Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's so fucking fire. Yeah, I guess we'll never know. Oh. Let's watch the
also,
second
a picture
clip.
of Bruce Ryan is going to release it. I think that's actually, and we'll see if he's going to release it next. He likes Oreos and whiskey. Sean, can you relate to that?
I think that's actually a picture of Jeffrey Epstein with somebody putting his head on there. I'm guessing. I don't know.
It might be his plane. Who knows?
I'll let you determine that in the morning.
Yeah, he's like, listen, you're fucked for that one, Brian, but you're on your own.
We'll be watching, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be watching, Brian. We'll be watching you fuck yourself, okay? Holy shit. Yeah, he said, you're on your own, pal. Oh, Jesus Christ. It could be anyone. It could be Tucker Carlson. Yes, we're going to talk about the Cincinnati guy, okay? The motion is granted. Breaking. Judge has granted the motion to unseal the search warrant and receipts. I mean, at this point, it's like, you know, it's happening already. And the unsealed court documents are right here. Here's a page showing which crimes the DOJ is investigating. We already knew that, though, because they were leaked to Breitbart and numerous other outlets before. So, yeah. The FBI missed searching this. Check Ivana's casket. That's so funny. The liberals are fucking losing their minds over this, obviously, for obvious reasons, because this is like a mind-melting situation.
Very significant.
But this is obviously a mind-melting situation, but I do think that it's like extra funny that they're like going buck wild, saying that like they should desecrate the corpse of like Ivana Trump. You know what? Let's go live. Fuck it. Let's see what the fuck CNN has to say live. You know what I mean? Because I do want to see what CNN is reporting live right now. And then I want to see what
this man is the former president of the United States. Donald Trump may not think that there was any, but you can tell from what they did that there was a great deal of deference given to him because
I gotta pee. I'll be back in a second.
Who he was.
Caroline Polisi, we've talked about these three statutes, the criminal statutes, also the Presidential Records Act, any presidential records created during the term. I assume you too have a copy of this. What stands out to you?
Yeah, this is just more confirmation that this goes far beyond a mere violation of the Presidential Records Act, which really is a toothless act in and of itself. It doesn't have an enforcement mechanism. These are heavy-hitting criminal statutes, espionage, obstruction of justice, as was noted. The maximum prison sentence for just one of these crimes is 20 years in prison. So this is a very big deal, and just more confirmation of what, we knew all along, which is that, Merrick Garland wouldn't have taken this, by all accounts, extraordinary step if it weren't absolutely necessary for the protection, of the country.
Yeah. An update here. Sarah Murray obtained this from a source at the top, near the top of the hour. We now know that the judge has unsealed the document, and we'll be able to share more of it with you. Again, the judge has unsealed the warrant and the receipt for property after the search of the former president's home. Ellie Honig, you've got a new development here.
A small point and a big point.
Yes.
So here's the small point. If people are looking at this and it's now available on the internet and wondering, why would the FBI be so general? Why would we just see box labeled A35? Why wouldn't they give us more detail? Because this is an on-the-spot document. It's the receipt that the FBI hands over to the person who's just been searched. And we have confirmation of that because we see that it was signed the way you would sign an invoice by Christina Bobb, the lawyer for Donald Trump, 6:19 p.m. on August 8th, the day of the search. That's before we even knew about the search. So that's the nature of these documents. Nobody should conclude the FBI or DOJ was trying to hide something. These are on-the-spot receipts.
That's an important point because if you are there and you are just kind of writing down, and I've been in places, I remember I was at the San Bernardino shooter's home, and they took some items and left the receipt on the table. And it was very handwritten, general of what was there. This is what is produced on site before they pack up and go.
Exactly. And when you're talking about documents, you can't possibly delineate all the documents. If you seize tangible items in a drug case, guns, you say however many kilos, however many guns. That's easy. But in a document case like this, really the best you can do is box of documents. So nobody's trying to hide the ball here. The bigger picture point to what you and Evan were saying, not only is this a search warrant of the former president of the United States, the crimes that are not even quite alleged, that's not even really the way to put it, but the crimes that Justice Department prosecutors went to a judge and made a showing of probable cause here. That's significant. That's not what you need to charge, but that's significant. Espionage, destruction of documents, and obstruction of justice. I mean, if you do step back, that is a remarkable moment.
Is Ambassador Norm Eisen with us as well, ethics czar at the Obama administration? Is the case that they have to prove as simple as these documents were classified, they were at Mar-a-Lago, there is the violation? How far or how difficult is it to prove that the former president is guilty of these statutes?
Well, 3 points, Victor. Technically, each of these three crimes, as to which probable cause has been found by a court, has a set of elements. And technically, yes, it's as simple as that. But it's never really as simple as that when you're going against a former president. They're going to have to show serious offenses. And that's why the volume of what we have here, these approximately 20 boxes, these 11 sets, the top secret SCI, our nation's most sensitive information that is the most dangerous for our national security, and the pattern that we've heard about of the Justice Department trying to get them.
Chat, I know Salman Rushdie got fucking stabbed, okay? I know. We're going to cover it. Shut the fuck up.
On that 1519...
I feel like there's some more, important things that are happening. Not that that's unimportant, but
of documents potentially. So it may not just be the case that we have. We know there's been reporting about a potential informant. This may not just be a case about what they got, which is bad enough. A potential knife strike against the heart of our national.
Salty, you didn't get to claim the fatwa? Yeah, I'm so mad. First of all, I'm fucking Sunni, motherfucker. What do you mean?
So this pattern of charges, we laid out an in-depth analysis this week at Just Security of what the crimes, as to which probable cause
I'm not
only
Shia.
Have been found. Important to remember what they might be. Very important details that are emerging as we speak.
Let's go back now to Sarah Murray. Item one, as I mentioned before, this executive grant of clemency for Roger Stone. I understand Roger Stone now has something he wants to share.
Yeah, first item listed there, a spokesperson for Roger Stone is saying this. Mr. Stone has no knowledge as to the facts surrounding his clemency documents appearing on the inventory of items seized from former President Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago. And, you know, we should remind people that Roger Stone was convicted of lying to Congress some years ago. Donald Trump granted him clemency when he was leaving the White House. So we don't know if that's what this is, that past grant of clemency, if this is, you know, another new document that perhaps never came to light. We just don't know exactly what this line item is referring to. But obviously Roger Stone, through his spokesperson, is saying, hey, don't look at me. I don't know what this is about either.
Carolyn Polisi, we just heard from Ambassador Eisen. This 1519 speaks to the potential destruction of documents. If that is what is alleged, would we find that in the affidavit and necessarily not here, if that's specifically why that's relevant?
Definitely not going to find it in what is going to be unsealed today. Potentially, you might have hints about it in the affidavit, which again could be a very lengthy document, which we will not see unless there is an indictment at some point in the future, laying out all of the investigative steps that the DOJ and FBI took prior to submitting the warrant for sign off by a magistrate in order to get to the probable cause standard in order to search Mar-a-Lago. Now, obviously, if we're talking about destruction of documents, one needs to have known that those documents existed.
Guys, I'm not going to fucking read through the search warrant, okay? If that's what you think we're going to do for fun, you're out of your mind, okay? We're not doing that. Bait title? No, bro. What do you mean bait title? Okay, I want to see fake leftists because y'all are boring, okay? Y'all are fucking boring and you don't understand content, okay? Stop. We're going to do the Ohio man who attacked the FBI building in a second. Let's see.
Significant reporting by the Washington Post. This is what it says, quote, classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were among the items FBI agents sought in a search of former President Trump's Florida residence on Monday. That's according to people familiar with the investigation. Now, this could elevate the concern over these documents in an enormous way. Joining us now is Washington Post intelligence and national security reporter Shane Harris. He's part of the team that broke this story. Shane, thank you so much for being with us. Just explain more what you and your team found here.
Well, what we understand is that among these classified documents that the FBI was searching for is documents related to nuclear weapons. Now, we're very clear in the story. We do not know whether that relates to U.S. nuclear weapons, the U.S. nuclear weapons arsenal or research, or information about the nuclear weapons of other countries. But what we do understand is that this information, which would in any instance be among the most tightly guarded secrets in the U.S. government, appears to have caused sufficient concern that it helped motivate this extraordinary search at the former president's.
Now, this is still speculation, which is why I said Trump stole nuke details, question mark. This part has not been covered yet because obviously top secret details within those documents, regardless of the warrant being released, is not going to be mentioned. They just have classified it as top secret details. Here are the seized documents. You can see them right here. Okay. Here's the receipt of the property that they retrieved from the house, Mar-a-Lago, Trump's house, also known as the White House of the South. Okay. One of the funniest parts is the executive grant of clemency regarding Roger Jason Stone Jr. But, like, you're not going to know exactly what's in it, which is why this part is still speculation.
It's home. And I think what this underscores is the degree to which law enforcement officials and others in the government were deeply concerned about the sensitive nature of the information that Donald Trump had at his personal residence. And we should also emphasize there is no plausible reason that experts can point to why a former president would need to have classified information of that significance at his home.
Yeah, it should be tightly guarded. But what you and your team reporting this out, Shane, reveal is also it wasn't tightly guarded at the White House either.
That's right. We've talked to former officials who served at senior levels in the intelligence community in the Trump administration who said that it was routine that highly classified information was passed around and handled by people who did not have a need to possess it or to read it. People who did not have the appropriate security clearances, people who didn't have a need to know. That among this information, one former intelligence official told us that they routinely saw was signals intelligence. We're talking about things like intercepted communications, potentially of foreign leaders. That too is some of the most closely protected, guarded information. And the idea that it was flowing around freely among officials who didn't need to have it or didn't have the proper access to it starts to fill out a picture of just the kind of the sloppiness that many former officials say they saw in the Trump administration when it came to handling close protected secrets.
So Shane, one question that is being asked this morning, if the FBI believed or were seeking classified documents related to nuclear weapons at Mar-a-Lago, as you say, that would be so serious. The existence of those documents would be so serious. What took so long? When did they find out about these documents? Was it, when they knew about the 15 boxes months and months ago? Was it when they subpoenaed records? Why the search warrant?
Yeah, that's a great question. We still don't know precisely when they learned this. But if you look at the sequence of events of how this unfolded, we know that there was a subpoena that was issued to President Trump back in June, which is essentially a request from the government that, saying, we think you have information, we need you to hand it back to us. It's a command of sorts, but it's asking nicely, if you want to think about it that way. It appears that this situation escalated, however, when President Trump, for, again, reasons we don't fully understand, did not return the information that the government made clear to him he needed to return. And so I think that also elevated the concern among law enforcement agents. Why is he not giving back the information that we think he had?
Dude, that's the funniest part. All of this could have been avoided if Donald Trump simply just said, oh, here are the documents, my bad. Okay? Like, none of this would be happening right now, which would be, of course, ironic because, we would have less content. So thank you, Donald Trump, for that content. But, like, all of this could have been avoided like the top of the hour ad break. Okay? Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, you can avoid those ads by subscribing. That's how you get an uninterrupted ad-free broadcasting experience. By subscribing for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime, by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. Or you can get gifted a sub. El Bobby Chulo, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Suck a dick. My man used up his points to highlight suck a dick. Gaucho Marks, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Joe Biden's bike pedal, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Oh, that was his first message? Blue is a highlight? Oh, damn. Fighter from Mars, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Anyway, let's continue.
That we're telling him he needs
Official
to get back
Magnus,
to
thank you
us.
for the 5 gifted
That
subs.
in any event would cause significant concern if someone who had classified information in their possession was refusing to hand it back.
Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
The political and the legal implications of that, we're seeing them play out right now, and we can see how
Chat, I know what the age demographics look like in here. You are not allowed to be behaving like this right now. The way you're behaving right now, all of you writing suck a dick in the chat, highlighting it. I know all you motherfuckers are white weebs that are over the age of 30. You do not get to behave like little fucking Zoomers in here, okay? You are all 30 plus white male weebs, okay? It is wild that you are behaving this way. It is wild that you are behaving this way when I know your fucking age group, okay?
extraordinarily that would complicate the situation.
Shane Harris, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Significant reporting that reframes, I think, how a lot of people are looking at the events over the last week. Thank you.
Joining us now is former federal prosecutor Daniel Goldman. He is now running for Congress in New York. Deputy editor of The City, Alyssa Katz, CNN presidential historian Tim Naftali, and CNN senior national correspondent Sarah Seidner. Look,
oh my God, my man's ears, bro. He got the Marco Rubio's on him, dude. He got the fucking Marco Rubio ears on him. God damn.
How much much has happened in the last 24 hours. It's where to start, right? There's just a bounty of new information. But let's start with what we are expecting to learn, maybe at 3 p.m., which is going to be the search warrant and the receipt, perhaps, about what was taken from Mar-a-Lago. Are you expecting that we will indeed learn that?
I have my serious doubts. As you will recall, Donald Trump said throughout the Mueller investigation, oh, I have no problem talking to them. I'm happy to talk to them. And then it became, oh, no, my lawyers told me I can't. So the fact that he has said release the documents means very little to me at this point. Let's see at 3 p.m. when their deadline is whether or not they are actually going to agree. But the Attorney General has put him in a real pickle here because either he releases the documents and we learn what statutes they are investigating, and we learn broadly, categorically, what they took. Now, some of that will be redacted because it's probably classified information, but we will certainly learn the statutes, and that will tell a lot about what they are investigating. I'm very eager to see that. If they decide to oppose this motion to unseal, then clearly they're trying to hide something. And it completely undermines his argument that this is just.
Well, this part already happened, right? Like, so we already know we're in the future now. But there is good stuff to look at with respect to the reason why I wanted to look at that coverage was because the Washington Post reporter actually had further information, whereas now they're just like speculating on the things that already came out, right? This was really funny. Hold on. Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, responded to Attorney General Merrick Garland's raid details.
Now, as President Trump's personal attorney, Christina Bobb, she was at.
I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You're going to jail. Look at my lawyer, dog. I'm going to jail. Okay. You fucking hire a lawyer. You fucking hire a lawyer who's got 2 first names. You're going to jail. Oh my God. Is this the wait? Okay, fuck that. Let's just watch this real quick.
So now the new host of
I'm
Fox
watching
News
Fox
Sunday.
News. I gotta. It's time. It's time.
We
it's
also
time.
have Fox News contributor
Thanks,
Jonathan
Ross.
Turley, former federal prosecutor Katie Cherkatsky. Let me start with you, Katie. What stands out immediately and most significantly to you?
Well, of course, the DOJ is going to try to.
They're saying that all the documents were declassified. Trump declassified all of them in his mind. They are going with that. They're going with that. I can't believe it. They're going with that. They're going with all the documents were declassified in his mind. Oh my God.
The fact of the matter here is that I think
Yes!
the words espionage, classified, SCI are being used without any sort of actual facts to support what he's supposed to these documents. In my opinion, the fact that he had these documents in his possession is no crime at all, regardless of what Merrick Garland or the DOJ says.
Shannon, Donald Trump, former President Trump, actually tweeted to that. Number one, it was all declassified.
He gets to have these as a treat.
They could have had it at any time they wanted without playing politics and breaking into Mar-a-Lago. It was in a secured storage with an additional lock put on it as per.
Okay, I need to mention something about the Espionage Act 793 that Fox News was not going to mention. So this is important for you guys to all understand. It doesn't matter if that document was declassified or not. Okay? For the record, it does not matter if that was even declassified. It's not, but it doesn't even fucking matter if Donald Trump declassified it or not. Okay? So they can fucking say like he declassified it in his mind or whatever the fuck all they want, all day, every day. But ultimately, for at least the most significant charge, it doesn't even matter if the documents were declassified or not. Okay? So just a reminder. Here it is. Friend of the show, Ken Klippenstein, offering this. Note that the prosecution under the Espionage Act does not require proof of espionage, just that the subject willfully retains classified materials and fails to deliver it upon official request. But also on top of that, no, I already ran the top of the hour ad break. Can Biden just say he reclassified them in his mind? There's also that. Except Biden doesn't have to reclassify those documents in his mind. He literally personally did openly fucking make sure that the handoff, the rather symbolic handoff between the new president and former president did not happen in this circumstance. Normally, like Barack Obama, for example, Donald Trump even, I think, allowed Barack Obama to have access to classified information, as former presidents often are allowed to have. Brandon, on the other hand, cited security concerns, national security concerns, and did not do that regardless. So remember that. He declassified the documents with his mind, the same energy as the girl is my girlfriend. We just haven't spoke or hung out at all. We shared eye contact. Yeah. And now that the search warrant has been released, now he's one. Wait, what the fuck? Baron POV? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Stop. Now that the search warrant has been released, Lindsey Graham coming in hot with a new talking point. Where's the affidavit? We still need to see the affidavit. We've moved on. We've moved on from the search warrant. Now it's time to see the affidavit. Yeah, it's the fucking it's the long form. Now that the birth certificate has been released, it's time to see the long form birth certificate.
Material. It's not clear if staffers, first of all, if the president declassified all this material, but also whether staffers went in and made those notation changes on these documents. So there could be confusion over the status of these documents.
Lamau, were you saying she's a young woman? She's a bad lawyer? Yes, that's what I was saying. You caught me. I was being misogynistic. No, you fucking idiot. I was making a joke about her having two first names and also otherwise showing an incredibly poor performance thus far throughout this entire raid. But if you want to fucking believe that it was because I thought I was being misogynistic, then yes, go off, King. You got me.
FBI went in. What do you make of that?
Well, it does seem somewhat like a setup at this point. I mean, this was the president of the United States. Of course, he had access to classified and sensitive information. And any comparison to any other government employee is completely irrelevant to the president. The president is not bound by the same regulations and laws that any other government employee is when they have these security clearances. TS and SCI information can run the gamut from a lot of different topics. So it's really, I think, a fear factor sort of thing that the left and the media are trying to go after in terms of using these terms without any sort of substance to tell us what do they actually mean by that. He had access to classified documents. Did he declassify them? There's not a specific process for the classification authority, the president, to actually do that. Does he need to annotate on the document to indicate such? Likely, yes, but there's really no prescribed method he has to go through. So I think that we have a lot of big questions here about the actual criminal acts that they're saying he engaged in. And it's got to be much more than him just possessing information that they claim is classified.
Right. And Shannon, there's questions whether this is now a criminal investigation. Is it a national security investigation? Where do we go from here, assuming maybe we never get a chance to see the affidavit?
Yeah, we might not. But what we do know is on the face of this warrant, what it says is you can go after any physical documents or records constituting evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of, and then it has the different sections, which are gathering and transmitting or losing defense information, concealment, removal, or mutilation of government documents. There are all kinds of there are 3 different statutes that are outlined here, and they have real criminal implications. If you were convicted under these statutes, some of them 3 years in jail, 10 years in jail, one's up to 20 years in jail. These are serious allegations. They are the justification for the warrants. And until we see those underlying affidavits, if we ever do, or if the government decides to move forward with some kind of case, we're just not going to know what that's based on. But these are real federal statutes with real criminal penalties.
Of course, I'm not sure what the binders of photos, the handwritten notes, and maybe the information from the president of France, if it's covered on any of those things. But Jonathan, there was also a report, the Washington Post, talking about nuclear materials or nuclear information. The whole thing has now become just a wild game of speculation. How important is it that the DOJ and the AG somehow reel this in? I mean, it seems like the ball is in their court to remove some of this, because this sort of speculation hanging over this nation can't be good.
Well, that's what really highlights what we don't know. TSSCI is a very high classification. If there was classified material in the former president's possession, he was not allowed to have that material after he left the presidency, and the government has every right to retrieve that material. But there are a lot of questions, not just about the status of the material, but the knowledge of the former president. And then you have all of these leaks that are being attributed to the Justice Department. And that's one of the reasons why it's not an easy thing for an attorney general to order the release of an affidavit. But this is a unique, historic moment. And whether for good or for bad, this raid has caused a great deal of concern among citizens. In fact, a belief among many that this is just another targeting of Donald Trump. That
I wonder why that concern happened.
FBI, it really undermines.
Perhaps it's because you guys are making it seem like it was bullshit.
The Attorney General needs to go against what I think is his personal inclination, and to say, release it. Release the affidavit.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite conservative argument. Is like, they first set the scene for people to get fucking whipped up into a frenzy, and then they turn around and go, "Oh man, the FBI really overstepped on their boundaries here by causing so much concern that they may be operating in a political way." It's like, bro, you did that. You did that, Jonathan Turley. You are the guy who's been on Fox News non-fucking stop for 72 hours since the raid started, saying exactly this. You are part of the reason, motherfucker. What do you mean?
It's ridiculous to ignore the troubling aspects of that situation. And I think Attorney General Garland's got to do much, much more than the type of boilerplate statement that he made yesterday.
Shannon, I mentioned a Donald Trump tweet. Former President Trump also added that they could have had at any time this information they wanted, and it includes long ago. He says all they had to do with that was ask. But there's another part to this. The bigger problem is what they are going to do with the 33 million pages of documents, many of which are classified. That
they asked that they didn't give it. They asked that they didn't give it.
Today, Martha played 3 sound bites together of James Comey on the information that Hillary Clinton had on her server, and he concluded that it was extreme carelessness in handling top secret information, but added, we cannot find a case for bringing criminal charges on her, despite the fact that it was extremely careless and she did have these top secret documents. So are we looking at a different sort of legal precedent here?
I think that the optics of this are very difficult for the FBI and the DOJ. And all of us on this panel will remember when this was going on with the former Secretary of State, she was allowed to.
Also, like, they didn't have to ask. There is that element as well. Like, they didn't have to ask. They could have retrieved it aggressively from the jump. But they did. And they didn't give it back. So of course, like, yeah, you have to do that.
People were treated that it gets to the dangerous place of worrying about partisan perception or politics entering into these institutions that as Americans, we don't ever want to have to doubt them. But people can easily point to these other cases that were very high profile and say, how come the treatment has been so different? I mean, there are political ramifications of this, and it's naive to think that this would have been done in a low-key way. That Newsweek reporting, which again, we don't know about the sourcing on it, but it points to senior DOJ officials and says they thought they could do this in a low-key way. I don't know how anyone thinks that you can carry out a raid on a former president's house in a warrant that's based on federal criminal statutes and think that it's going to go under the radar.
Right. Or why this sense of urgency? Why stop negotiating? Why not issue another subpoena? Again, take extra.
Oh, so they did ask. So you're admitting that they asked because earlier you said they didn't ask.
The way we could do this.
What the fuck? 3 seconds ago he said they didn't ask. Well, they did. They issued a subpoena and they didn't follow through on it. And then they asked again. What do you mean? Why didn't they ask twice? Why didn't they say pretty pink please with a fucking a cherry on top? That is the legally speaking, that is the thing that they should have done. They should have said, pretty pink, please. And actually, they didn't do that. It's called the third time's the charm defense. It's a very famous legal defense that they should be using in this circumstance, as a matter of fact. That's really fucked up. He gets a mulligan on this, I think.
Search was executed properly. So I don't think we'll ever really get an answer to that in terms of, is this a pretext? Probably. I mean, I'm sure they're hoping that they come across other information that's helpful. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But I think that this warrant signed off by the judge does.
Dude, my favorite thing is like my own community members, like 14-month subs, trying to now get me to talk about the Salman Rushdie thing by just straight up saying I talked about Salman Rushdie last night at Austin show and he literally got stabbed. Jesus, like I never talked about Salman Rushdie. Well, I did, but I was talking about like literally not fucking shitting on or not depicting Islam. Did I talk about Salman Rushdie? I can't remember. I think it was Anyway, regardless, like you're making it seem like it's linked back to me now. What's wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you wearing shoulder pads, bro? This is literally just my regular shoulders, my friend. No pads. No, I didn't even make the Charlie Hebdo joke.
Because of the optics that we have discussed. But they need to come forward, I'm talking about the Justice Department, and really show an airtight and undeniable case presented in front of that magistrate. Anything that is short of that is going to fulfill the narrative of critics of the Justice Department. This could not be more serious, not just for Donald Trump, but as I said, for the justice system itself. And Merrick Garland seems to be absent without leave on this. I was surprised by his statement yesterday. He talked about one aspect outside of the documents with regard to his approval. He didn't swat down the suggestions this could be a pretext for January 6th. He didn't address some of these other sort of procedural or scheduling issues. Now, he is someone who is known not to be inclined to reveal information, but he's the Attorney General of the United States who just ordered a raid on the former president's home and the very likely opponent of the current president. There is no way you could reproduce that in any past historical event. He's really in unknown territory, and he has to do better than to simply say, trust us, we're the government.
Yeah. Thank you, team, very much. That was fantastic, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And again, Shannon, congratulations. So we have been getting reaction from Capitol Hill on the raid and what comes next. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson has the very latest from Washington. Lucas.
Charles, House Republican Whip Steve Scalise doubts the White House didn't know about this raid of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate.
Merrick Garland's at least said he knew about it in advance and signed off. Did President Biden know about it in advance? He won't even answer that question. And that breeds distrust. It breeds a lot of questions about who's really calling the shots here.
Florida Senator Rick Scott wrote to President Biden's Attorney General and the FBI Director earlier today. The American people are justifiably alarmed by the conduct of your agencies. This alarm has arisen not only because of the unprecedented nature of the raid conducted at the personal residence of a former president and potential future political opponent of the sitting president, but increasingly because of the lack of transparency by you and the Biden administration. At a press conference earlier today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said this about the Republicans.
I know very well how vicious they can be. You would think there would be an adult in the Republican room that would say, just calm down, see what the facts are.
Earlier, the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee questioned the tactics used in the raid on Trump's home.
Knowing that presidents deal, except in the Situation Room, largely with policy issues, it would be highly unusual for a president to have anything, even in the Oval Office, that rises to the level of an imminent national security threat.
Turner says he wants to hear from the Attorney General and the FBI Director as soon as possible in Washington. Charles?
Lucas, thank you very much. Joining me now to discuss, New York Post columnist Michael Goodwin. Michael, it's interesting because There was an article, I think David Brooks in the New York Times, saying that this actually could be a massive mistake. It's galvanized Republicans who see President Trump as once again being targeted, by the system, particularly the Justice of the Department of Justice. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, thank you, Charles. I guess every squirrel occasionally finds a nut. I don't generally agree with David Brooks, but I think he's right on that. And all the things you've just...
Bro, this guy's wonderful because he has the Vaseline lens. Like, he has the Vaseline lens that you normally see on conservative phones, but this motherfucker has it on his, like, actual webcam.
When Garland came out and seemed as though it was just business as usual, all of that, I think, just fuels the suspicions. It also strikes me that Garland and perhaps others in the White House act as though we're in a different era of history. The rise...
I wonder if they're interviewing fucking fossils like this because, like, they want to get people in that were there when nukes were first invented. You know what I mean?
Especially when the government is going so far out on a limb and doing something that's never been done before. But the way Garland approached it, the way the White House has approached this, is just as if it's just business as usual. And as Jonathan Turley just said, trust us, we're the government. I mean, those days are long gone. You look at Pew did a big...
oh, yeah, we can't trust the government anymore. Yeah, no shit, dude. Of course not. I mean, fuck the government and fuck the federal agencies. But you guys are the law and order guys. You guys are always talking about how the government is trustworthy and how you should always trust the government. So what happened? Now that it's like fucking Donald Trump getting targeted by the government all of a sudden in the lightest way possible for like the most obvious reasons possible, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, no, that's fucked up. Don't trust, people can't trust the government anymore. God damn, dude.
In this moment of extraordinary events.
I follow that polling by Gallup. It goes back to like the 1940s, and it is extraordinary. Yes. We've actually been, it's sort of the snowball that's become the proverbial boulder, and now you wonder because it's just completely flat. We have we just don't trust anyone or anything, including the media, by the way. The fact that the Presidential Records Act has never been used before. Since it was enacted in 1978 in the aftermath of Watergate, I think that actually widens the net in terms of apolitical folks out there, independents, people who just don't necessarily pay attention, saying, "Whoa, maybe just maybe they are going after this guy for political reasons."
Well, and you add to it the fact that if these really are such serious documents, why has it taken them 20 months? When did they discover these documents? I mean, they've been, as you've been reporting, they've had all these negotiations. They were there. They had meetings. The president came in and said hello. Right. When did they suddenly discover this sense of urgency that they didn't have until now? I mean, none of it quite adds up. But again, all the more reason why it's got to be explained and laid out in a way. And Garland's kind of nothing to see here, move along. It really just has the opposite effect.
Yeah, it definitely felt very nonchalant. Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Of course, much more on this with Brett Baer later in the hour, why he says this warrant is raising more questions for the Department of Justice. And as the massive tax and spend bill is about to become law, did the government's official number cruncher just confirm what the White House has been denying? The middle class is going to get hit.
Oh, yeah. Let's move on from the Trump shit to more important stuff like lying about the IRS coming to get you. The middle class. Man, the middle class. What a wonderful nomenclature. It's so good. It's just so malleable. You know what I mean? Anyone and everyone can be in the middle class at any given moment, right? And if you are a part of the middle class, then maybe you are under attack all the time.
Unlocked to the topic that's just begun. There he is again. Hasan is streaming. Hasan is streaming. There he is again. Hasan is streaming.